Just a quick video to check in and say, well done, Mr. President. You put Madame Merkel and Rothschild puppet Macron in their places at the G7, while schooling social justice warrior and hand of the Queen, Justin Trudeau.
I, Justin P.J. Trudeau, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I shall be a true and faithful servant to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II as a member of Her Majesty's Privy Council for Canada.
And then, while visiting the UK, you've reminded the Queen why we fought a revolutionary war by defying protocol and refusing to bow to Her Majesty, while your lovely wife refused to curtsy.
President and First Lady greeted the Queen with a handshake rather than a customary curtsy or bow. How significant is that?
Then, and I'll quote The Independent, the U.S. President was condemned on social media for walking in front of the Queen as they inspected a guard of honor of the Coldstream Guards, which left the Queen having to decide which side of him to go as she caught up to walk alongside him. There's a new sheriff in town, as they say. It's clear the Queen's puppet, Prime Minister Theresa May, wants to wiggle out of Brexit and defy the will of the people, something that troubles you.
Well, I think the deal that she's striking is not what the people voted on. It's a much different deal than the people voted on. It was not the deal that was in the referendum.
And you're sounding more like rabble-rouser and Brit patriot Nigel Farage every day.
Do you know, every one of those people out there are the same people that go on the anti-Brexit marches. It's just the same crowd.
So what, the president in the Sun obviously took Theresa May to task.
Yeah.
I told her how to do it, she didn't do it right. She didn't.
Truth of it is, Trump believes in Brexit, the whole administration believes in Brexit. Why? Because they believe in nation states. Why? Because they understand that the European Union is the epicenter of the globalist project. That's what Hillary was for, that's what Donald was against, that's what the election was about.
Of course, we understand why the Queen and her government would water down Brexit to the point of obsolescence, as Harley Schlanger from LaRouche recently explained in my SGTreport interview with him.
The Queen doesn't give a damn about the people of the United Kingdom. She never has. The royals have always ruled a global empire. And previously that empire was based on British sea power and British military power. After World War II, it became the power of offshore banking, the Channel Islands, the Guernsey and Jersey Islands, the shadow banking system, the looting of the world, most of which ends up in British or British connected banks. And these are the banks that fund terrorism, they fund international drug trade, they always have. Hong Kong Shanghai Bank is a perfect example.
And yet, no matter what good you do, Mr. President,
we're like the piggy bank that everybody's robbing, and that ends.
I still get comments and emails like this one about you and Hillary Clinton, which reads in part, quote, "Two heads of the same snake. It's a big club, and we ain't in it. One big psyop scam on the American people. Trump is not representing the best interests of Americans. Israel first, America last." End quote. America last, huh?
As an example, the European Union is brutal to the United States. They don't take, and they understand that, they know it. When I'm telling them, they're smiling at me. You know, it's like the gig is up. It's like the gig is up.
Unlike the hopelessly corrupt, evil, treacherous Rothschild puppet you defeated, you do not have two policy positions, one public and one private, as she explained to her Goldman Sachs crowd in a $250,000 paid speech. And unlike Mr. Trudeau in Canada, you have not sworn an oath of fealty to the Queen of England with a pledge to keep secret from the people anything you discuss with her.
I shall keep secret all matters committed and revealed to me in this capacity, or that shall be secretly treated of in council. Generally, in all things, I shall do as a faithful and true servant ought to do for Her Majesty, so help me God.
And unlike the previous American imposter president, you refuse to bow, kneel, or grovel to foreign dignitaries. President Trump, despite the whining of your harshest critics, you do appear to truly care about maintaining, restoring the sovereignty of the United States of America and returning honor and dignity to the people's house.
And it was an incredible reception that he received there, and I think they all know they're in the presence of a lion, a true alpha male.
And you have tread in areas your predecessors avoided or ignored.
Thank you very much for being with us today as we signed this crucial legislation to combat online sex trafficking and bring criminals to justice.
Where once there was a plan to bring our nation to its knees under the brutal weight of what a former CIA director turned president described more than 200 times.
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order, can emerge. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. It is a big idea, a new world order.
You, Mr. President, seem very much aligned against it.
We are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.
Critics say, don't cheerlead. Fine. But is it okay to report on the good you do? Is it okay to judge you by the content of your character? Is it okay to thank you for not bowing to the Queen or selling our nation out to globalist forces like the bureaucrats in Brussels who control the EU? Is it acceptable to observe your actions and then draw conclusions about what lies in your heart? We are a people who have been lied to and who have been betrayed for so many decades that many Americans still suffer from some hybrid form of Stockholm Syndrome. And yet, critics tell me you are just the flip side of the same coin we have seen since the globalist forces of evil murdered our last decent president. But I have to be honest, I for one am very grateful that this is your plane, while this one is hers. And God willing, while this is your house.
I move paintings around the White House. I just thought it would be great. So we have George Washington, Honest Abe Lincoln.
Hopefully one day soon, this is where she'll live out her days.
This is where those detainees live. You can see they have a cot, they have a sink, a toilet, and plenty of personal items.
May God bless the President, and may God bless the United States of America.
More and more of this is coming out, that the FBI and the CIA were working with British intelligence for what reason? To stop the shift of the world away from the geopolitical unilateralism of the US neocons who believe that a world government must be established under the control of Wall Street and the City of London.